And you know, everybody's different. I love the village concept, truly, truly love it. I probably will join one myself one day. But I also know people that prefer to live in a continuous care retirement community. Now those are expensive. They're more expensive here in California than anywhere else, but it's a viable option. It's especially a viable option if you don't have kids. So think early about your long-term care. Think about what it looks like. Go visit some places. Go visit some people who are doing it in a village. Visit some people who are doing it in a retirement community. Visit some people who are doing it in assisted living, and see what it's like. And make some conscientious decisions, some informed decisions for yourself. Most people, as they age, have income from a variety of sources. We certainly know that there are people out there who have income only from Social Security. We know people that have a pension. We know people that have a pension, a 401k, and Social Security. There's multiple forms of passive income. But I also want to encourage you to think about an active income. There are so many things that you can do to keep yourself engaged, to keep yourself vital, to keep yourself out there in the community working with people. A lot of people will have to think in stages about their aging. Starting out in a village is a wonderful idea. Staying there is a wonderful idea. I've got to ask you this question. How many of you, this is time for honesty now, how many of you have ever heard these words come out of your mouth? I'm not moving out of this house until they drag me out by my heels. Fess up. It's pretty common. We do fall in love with those homes, but you may be doing everything right and you still may end up with a condition to manage. It happens to most people. It's what aging is about. As we age, our bodies deteriorate. Is that a surprise to anybody? I hope not. We aren't going to stay young forever. And part of being flexible is staying flexible in our minds, staying open in our minds to the kinds of conditions we might get. So I want you to do something for me now. I'd like you to look around you and find someone that you haven't met. I know some of you do this in church every week. Look around you, find someone you haven't met, say hello, introduce yourself to that person, and tell them why you came here today. Do that right now. But I want to tell you a little story now, probably my favorite story of staying flexible. And it involves a woman that I met not too long ago who started her life in Georgia. And she started out with a fairly conventional way of living. She was making a living as a musician. Well, that's not all that conventional in itself. She was actually making a living, surviving as a musician, putting food on the table. But one thing led to another, and she got married and had children, and then a bad thing happened. Her husband got sick, really sick. He lost his job. They lost their home. And pretty soon they were homeless. But Dorothy had done a good thing earlier in her life. She had made some great friends. One of them happened to be in California. And he found out about their plight and he beckoned and said, "You come here to me." And he sent them 2 airline tickets, and Dorothy and her husband flew to California. And then another bad thing happened. Leonard lost his job. Now we have 3 people in their 50s who are unemployed, and one of them is not well. But Dorothy decided to take the bull by the horns and do something about it for all of them. So she went back to school at De Anza College and discovered that she had a huge talent for and love of filmmaking. So she got into their film program, and fast forward 2 years, and they now have a videography business, and Dorothy's first 2 employees were Leonard and her still alive husband Thomas, and all live together and have quite a thriving business now as videographers. And it's my pleasure to give you the opportunity to say hello to them today, because they're my videographers today. So say hi to Dorothy and Leonard. For those of you that have a spouse or significant other, eventually one of you won't. And you have to look beyond your spouse for companionship, for your social needs. There has to be more than that. So I encourage you, if you are married, to branch out your world as much as possible and include lots of people in your inner circle. She was asking about resources for work. And there are a couple people that are with our table today that really specialize in that. So I would encourage you to talk to them, and they'll share some resources for you. Well, I am going to end by reading you my favorite poem on aging. Some of you have heard this before. It was written by Jenny Joseph. She's an English poet, and I just love it. When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple, with a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in the rain in my slippers and pick the flowers in other people's gardens. And I'm going to learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But for now, we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set a good example for the children. We must have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple. Thank you very much.